Welcome back, everyone. In this lesson, we are here back in Visual Studio Code, where we are going to create our customer with the user's email. So first we need to get that email, and that is part of the data in our snapshot document here that we get as part of the onCreate. So I'm going to say const data is equal to snap.data, open close parentheses. And then the way that we can access and get the value for one of the Firestore document fields is by saying const email is equal to snap.email, the string of the field. And now we have the email for that document. Next, we need to create the Stripe customer using the Stripe API. So we can do that by saying const customer. This is the variable that is going to hold the customer object that we create. And I'm going to say is equal to await. And we'll talk about that more in just a second. But we say stripe.customers.create. And then open close parenthesis and open close curly brace. And then we pass in the email that we are going to use to create the new Stripe customer and the email. Very good. So this is going to send off a request to the Stripe servers saying, hey, please create a new user for this Stripe account, which we have initialized as our Artable Stripe account, and create that customer with this email. And what await does is, just like the name implies, we wait for this request to return before moving on to the next line of code, which is fantastic. I have longed for this feature in Swift for so long. Why? Because it removes the need for completion handlers. You see in Swift code a lot of nested asynchronous requests because the next one relies on the result of the first one. But with async and await, your code looks so much nicer. So once Stripe finishes creating our new Stripe customer, its value is set to this customer object. And then we want to update our Firestore user document with the Stripe customer ID so that we know who to charge when a purchase is made. And we can do that by using the admin tools. So we can say return admin, and we'll talk about that return in just a second. But we say admin.firestore, and this part is just like we've been doing in our iOS project. We supply the path to the document that we want to update. So we say .collection. The name of the collection is users. Then we supply the document that we want to update, which is doc. And the ID for that document is data.id. And then we supply the method that we want to perform on this document reference, which is to update it. So I'm going to say open close parentheses, open close curly brace. And the field that we want to update is Stripe ID. And the value that we want to update it to is customer.id. And let me just go double check that that is the correct field string. So opening Xcode and coming to our user.swift. Yes, self.stripeid. Okay, good. Okay, so what does this return? When we have a background Firestore trigger, we have to finish or return Cloud Functions with a promise. So if we look at our .update function here, it says that it returns a promise resolved with the write time of this update. So it returns a promise, so we're good. If you don't return a promise to end a Cloud Function, it won't terminate correctly and will eventually just time out with an error. So let's save this, and we are ready to deploy this function. I think it looks good. So I'm going to open back up a terminal, and I'm going to say Firebase deploy. Ooh, very exciting. Oh, and looks like we got an error here. Let's see what it says. Alrighty, so after some research, I discovered what's going on here. Previously, I used TypeScript, and TypeScript has the async and await built in. JavaScript for the version that the Firebase Cloud Functions initializes with does not have it baked in. So what we need to do is come to our ESLint rc.json file here, and we need to change the ECMA version to 2017 and save that. And then in package.json, you can add right here below private the following: engines and then node 8. Okay, just like that. And what that's going to do is get our JavaScript up to the latest versions, which contains built-in the await and async for us. Okay, so I'm going to close that and close that. And then another mistake that I made here was we do data equals snap.data, and then email should just be data.email with no parentheses there. All right, I'm going to save that. And now we should be good to go. We're still going to get one more error, but I'm going to leave it in for now. All right, so now we should be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and comment out this hello world function, save it, and we are going to redeploy. And we'll get a notice here saying, would you like to proceed with deletion? So it's seeing that we removed our hello world function. And I'm going to say, yes, proceed with the deletion. All right, so that is deployed. Let's go ahead and test this. Just to recap, our cloud function is triggered when we add a new user to the user's collection. So we are going to register a new user. The cloud function will be triggered. It will get the email from that new user document right here, send a request to the Stripe servers to create a new Stripe customer with that email. Then we get that customer object back from Stripe, and then we update the Firestore user document with the Stripe customer ID. So we can use that when making purchases in the app. Whew, all right, so let's register a new user and test this. Gonna open up my simulator. I'm gonna log out of the current user, then create a new user. And we'll call this username Johnny B, email johnnyart@testing.com, password 123123, and register. Now, nothing's going to be different here in the app because all we're doing is creating a cloud function that's listening to our user's collection. So we need to go and actually check our functions from our Firebase console. So going to our functions right here, dashboard, let's click on create Stripe customer and say view logs. And this is the error that I was talking about. It says an error occurred with our connection to Stripe, billing account not configured, external network is not accessible, okay? So if you have a Firebase project that does not have any sort of billing attached to it, payments, then you're not able to communicate with anything other than Google services. So if you want to do any external network requests, such as to Stripe or to any other API, then you're going to have to add billing information. Now, earlier we went through the quotas that are allotted to the free account, and you get those even if you have a paid account. So you're not going to be paying anything, so don't worry about that. So to add billing, come up here to our project overview, click on Spark Plan, and go ahead and select, I would recommend the Blaze pay-as-you-go plan because it includes the free usage calculated daily. After that, you pay only what your project uses. All right, so especially if you're just kind of learning and testing this, don't worry, you're not going to pay anything. So go ahead and select that plan, and then go through the process of adding your payment information, and I'll see you on the other side when you're done with that. All right, I just went through the process, and now you can see here that I am on the Blaze plan. All right, so now when we register a new user, we should be able to communicate with our Stripe servers. So let's try adding a new user once again. So I'm gonna log out, create a new user, Johnny, email, johnnyart2@test.com, password 123123, and register. All right, let's come back to our functions and see if that went through. I'm gonna go to logs. And this is the prior one, so let's wait until our new logs arrive. Gonna refresh. And hey, looks like it worked. We got a function execution with 4,000 milliseconds, finished with status OK. Let's come and check out our Stripe dashboard, refresh our customers. And hey, there we go, JohnnyArt2 at test.com. We got our customer ID, ends with LWT, so let's confirm that in our database for our Artable project, we now have a user with a Stripe ID. Let's see here, that's gonna be this guy right here, JohnnyArt2. Hey, very, very cool. So just to recap, what happened was when we registered a new user, this user was populated here without a Stripe ID. This would have just been an empty string like these other ones to start out with, but that triggered our cloud function, which went and got the data from the new document user object, got the email, used Stripe to create a new Stripe customer, which we can see in our Stripe dashboard. That is returned to us here in the customer object, and then we go and update the Firestore document object and update it with the Stripe ID. So cool. All right, so we just made a huge step forward. We are using a cloud function to connect with Stripe. We are using it to update Firestore documents. We're really doing a lot in just that little bit of cloud function code. And it's really cool to see how everything is starting to come together. All right, hope you're excited about what we're doing here and everything that you're accomplishing. And I will see you in the next one where we start work on our Stripe shopping cart. I'll see you there.